What it is, cucks, old intro up in this space. It's time for me to discuss something that I didn't even know was happening. Some of you, on my last video, started telling me that apparently the rumor has it that Cena's retirement match will be against none other than Gunther the cuckold. Alright, now with that being said, the haters' friends and the haters' wife even have suggested that we go and watch this match, that we drive all the way to DC to go watch this because it's such a historic moment. And quite frankly, I was starting to get convinced because it would be a lot of us. But now that it's going to be against Gunther, I have no desire to watch this match. First of all, obviously, I have a feeling that Gunther is going to win this match if it's Gunther, right? And in my personal opinion, John Cena should go out with a massive win. I don't understand this logic of wrestlers always going out on their backs. I get the concept, but I don't understand the logic behind it. The facts are, cats, that sometimes wrestlers are not like that. Some wrestlers are special. For example, The Undertaker, playa. The Undertaker went out on a win against AJ Styles. He rode off into the sunset. And quite frankly, it was good. In my opinion, I think, especially in a day of long-ass title reigns, I think it's appropriate for someone to retire as champion, and then the next day, you have like a fucking, the beginning of a 32-man tournament or something to determine the new champion. And that person can say they're a valid champion because they won this massive tournament. That would have been better than what we have now. Instead, what we got was Cena loses to Cucky, Cena loses to Brock, he's probably going to beat AJ, and then we're going to move on from that, right? But the point is, who the hell cares about any of this? It would have been much better right now if Cena were champion. You could have had Cena versus Drew McIntyre instead of Cucky versus Drew. And then Drew could, lose the match. And eventually Cena, on December 12th, could have the final match of his career as champion. That would make it so compelling because on one hand, you'd be like, well, if someone beats Cena for the title, that's fucking amazing. And on the other hand, I think the fans would say, man, it'd be great if Cena just retired as champion. Instead, what we're going to get is a meaningless match that no doubt is going to be billed as a dream match. More like a nightmare match, if you ask me, right? And I don't know if I can handle a Gunther match, period. What I mean by that is, I don't think I would watch it for free. I don't think I could psych myself up to watch Gunther wrestle live. I'd prefer not to. Even if this was right next door and I'd have to drive all the way to DC, I still think I wouldn't. And they want me to pay for this? You see what I'm getting at, motherfuckers? If wrestling was booked in a better way, and Cena's last run was given the respect that it deserved, which I will concede, they did ultimately give Cena a title run, so, it's not a complete zero, right? Something was ventured, something was gained. Meaning that people actually ended up getting something out of it, and Cena got his, historic title run, or, it's historic because it's the 17th. The never seen 17, right? But in the later stages of this, Cena has been cucked out completely. He had a great match with the Cuckster, but Cena should have beaten Cody Rhodes, and in my opinion, he should have beaten Cody Rhodes clean. There is no shame in Cody Rhodes, at 40 years old, taking a loss to Cena. He spent his entire career taking losses to Cena. One more wouldn't have hurt this cut. The fact is, I can understand if, for example, it was like a 25-year-old Braun Breaker or a 25-year-old Velveteen Dream, or quite honestly, even if it was a 25-year-old Cucky Rhodes. But Gunther and Cody are not young men. And it doesn't make sense to me to have them beat Cena, especially Gunther, who lost to Jey Uso. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Gunther is 38. I just Googled it. He's 38. He's effectively almost 40, just like the hater. I'm a little bit younger than Gunther, you know what I mean? Think about that. Gunther is not going to be this massive star for the next 10 years. Quite frankly, he's got a couple of years left in him in terms of being a reasonable main event type guy. Then after that, I think it's time for him to start jobbing, motherfucks. You know what I mean? He could wrestle for another 10 years, no problem. I have no doubts about that. But I see him more and more in an Ezekiel Jackson kind of role after that. I don't think he's going to be this perpetual force that keeps winning. Eventually, he's going to start jobbing like a bitch. So you have to consider that too. You know, how long is this guy going to stay in the main event? Is Gunther ever going to be a legend? In my opinion, the chance of that happening is absolutely zero. You know, at the very least, if Cena's going to lose, give us Cena versus Orton. I know that we saw that recently, but that is fitting for a last match. Motherfucks. This is Cena's last match. Now, I believe that at some point Cena will come back for like a one-off, kind of like The Rock, you know? Or like, at worst, like a Ricky Steamboat type shit, where he just comes back and has like a match. But, quite frankly, I don't know if that's going to happen for sure. I think it is, but I don't know. So we have to treat this as what it's been presented as. The last match of John Cena. And if this is Cena's last match, then we're kind of fucked. Because the last match is going to be against Gunther. Which means you know it's going to be a shitty match. If Cena wins, like, this is why I don't think he's going to win. Because if Cena wins, so what? Oh wow, Cena beat Gunther. You know who else beat Gunther? Ilya Dragunov. You know what I mean? Beating Gunther is not a big deal. Beating Cena is a massive deal. And quite frankly, to give this to a 38-year-old, to give this to Gunther makes absolutely no sense at all. You know, I will say this, right? Sometimes the WWE makes some critical decisions that seem like bad ideas, but sometimes they turn out to be good ideas. One often cited example of this is when Brock Lesnar ended The Undertaker's streak. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I understood the criticism. I don't agree with it, but I understood it. The main criticism was Brock Lesnar has already accomplished a lot, and Brock Lesnar is old, quote unquote. But that was what? 2014, I think? It was, yeah, that sounds about right. 2014. You know what that means? That means it was about 11 to 12 years ago, which means that Lesnar was 11 years younger than he is now. How old is Lesnar now? Let's see. 48. So Lesnar was like 36, 37. He was younger than Gunther, right? And people thought he was too old for this accolade. See what I'm saying? But how does that logic not apply to Gunther then? Gunther is also too old to be the guy that retired Cena. Baron Corbin was too old to be the guy that retired Kurt Angle. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the original plans, I think, were for Jason Jordan to retire Kurt Angle, then have that be his push. That would have been smart, because he was a young guy, so he could have leveraged this into like a successful 10 years. Gunther does not have 10 years left. You know what I mean? He's already boring, like this guy could be in AEW in 2. You know? And imagine that. The guy that beat Cena is now in AEW. What the fuck is wrong with the world? Think about it, motherfucks. He's too old for this. And Cena, quite frankly, he's not even like The Undertaker. Cena was just champion like a few months ago. He's the former champion. You know? And Cody Rhodes isn't dropping this motherfucker. So Cena will still be the former champion when Gunther pins him clean, probably, in the middle of the ring. John Cena, the guy that beat everybody, now cannot beat a fatter, less impressive Vladimir Kozlov. Are you fucking kidding me? And people expect me to go and watch this? I'd rather not watch it at all. You know what I'm saying? Let alone pay for it and go all the way to DC up in this bitch. So what I'm getting at here, motherfuckers, is very, very obvious. WWE, since this hasn't been announced yet, needs to pivot. And hopefully, unless the company is run exclusively by retards, which is definitely a possibility given current events, they need to sit down and think, man, what about some other option? Literally at this point, I think like having Kit Wilson beat The Rock, or Cena I should say, is a better choice. Because at least the guy's young, he's got more career like ahead of him. You know, if this is how it's going to be, they should have had fucking Austin Theory beat Cena, and that should have been the end of Cena's career. You know? And then Austin Theory could have been the guy that retired Cena, and as a result, he could then be the guy that gets the massive rub. Instead, he beat Cena for a meaningless match, for a meaningless title, in a meaningless event that nobody remembers, and now Austin Theory is like effectively gone. You know? So, what do we have to say about that? The fact is, we can't let the same thing happen again. These things need to lead to something. And quite frankly, Gunther has already hit his ceiling. If he beats Cena and retires Cena, good. It's a feather in his cap. But Gunther's not going to be this guy that's champion for like 5 times in the next 5 years. I don't see it. It's possible, because he already broke the mold once. He's already champion once. Like, he has a much higher chance of being champion than Jey Uso. But he doesn't have much of a higher chance of being champion than, like, I don't know, Seth Rollins, right? Or Braun Breaker when he starts winning every match. You see what I'm saying? So the problem is, we can't allow this to happen. We have no say in the matter, obviously. But we should not take this with stride. The hater's gonna do his part. I'm gonna talk shit about this until it happens, especially when it's announced. And I'm sure as hell not going to fucking DC to watch this shit. To watch Cena, everyone's hero, lose to Gunther. Think about it. This weekend, I think it is, Cena will be wrestling AJ Styles. What's more interesting to you? Cena versus AJ or Cena versus Gunther? I don't think there's one real fan. And this time when I say a real fan, I mean like a serious fan, a fan that gives a shit, that is compelled more by Cena versus Gunther. I think almost everybody exclusively is going to say that Cena versus fucking AJ Styles is the much more compelling match. And they'd be right. But why have that be the fucking retirement match? Why not give it to Gunther, who's only a few years younger than AJ Styles, and quite frankly, doesn't nor will he ever have the same accomplishments. Gunther got signed to WWE at like 33 or 32, and he spent like 3 years in NXT UK. He didn't even go to NXT. They just sent him to NXT UK, motherfuckers. Wrestling like people that like have never been on TV before. Literally an indie fed. So these people are now taking over, and these people are now going to retire Cena. It's not bittersweet, it's just bitter. And I fucking hate it. I'd rather at this point see Cena lose clean to like fucking El Grande Americano. You know? Maybe Gunther can wear the mask and he can be El Grande Americano, the fat one, motherfucks. So that being said, the haters got nothing more to say about this for now, but you will hear of this again. Because if this shit gets announced, I'm gonna fucking break like a window or something, you know what I mean? So that being said, take care of yourselves and go fuck your mothers. Cucks this!